Today we're going to be taking a look at the newest addition to Hiya's line of Mountain Dew Baja Blast Monsterverse action figures with Energized Godzilla. And you may be saying to yourself, isn't that a Shinra Jiro joke? Yeah, well, have you ever seen Rob and I in the same room at the same time? Let's get into it. And here we have Energized Godzilla from Hiya Toys here in the packaging. Now before we get started, I do want to thank the sponsor for this video, INS Hobby. They sent me this review sample as soon as they had it available over in China. It got to me very, very quickly, and I'd love to thank them for sending this along. If you like what you see, if you're interested in any of their other Hiya Toys Godzilla figures, you can check out my link in the description down below. If you want to support the channel, any support, any purchases you make through that link are very much appreciated. Here at the packaging, I really dig it. You've got the drones fighting Godzilla, shooting at Godzilla, just like we saw in the movie. I do take issue with the way that the figure actually looks on the packaging, and even in some of the solicitation photos, and we will get to that when we unbox and take a closer look. But the package actually has a more robust feel to it. It actually feels a lot more sturdier than I'm used to from Hiya Toys figures, and I don't know if that's just me not having enough Hiya Toys figures to have a good data set, but something about this box feels much, much sturdier, which is always great. You know, you want to have your figures showing up safely in one piece. So, not much more to say. This figure sort of dropped out of nowhere months ahead of schedule, as I mentioned in the video that I think went earlier live today. So let's get this guy open and take a look. And in what I think is the first time for a Hiya Toys release, we have alternate hands for Godzilla. So I'm actually very curious to get a closer look at these guys. In the images, the solicitation images, it almost looked like they were fists, but they are not quite completely closed, like you might see on one of the Super 7 Godzilla figures. There's a little bit of space in there. You might be able to get creative, have him wielding some weapons, some swords maybe, or an axe. And I lost that hand. This seems kind of new. It's almost like they've put him in a bag. Is it a bag? No, they just wrapped the sheet around him. Okay. Cool. Alright, here he is. So, just getting a look at him out of the box. Painted detail looks really, really great. If I can get in there. Through all the skin texture, it's all painted. Jaw's okay. Let's see, how's the tail? Oh, look at that. See, this is kind of what I'm hoping the Ultimates -1 from Super 7 is going to be able to do, and I'm pretty sure it will be able to do, but anyway, this isn't a Super 7 video. Yeah, so I believe that this is molded in translucent plastic, and I might be able to get a couple photos, insert them here, me shining a light or whatever through. Oh, yeah, feels really good, actually. Now, the spines, we will talk about in a bit, but there is definitely something going on there with the shape of the spines. And first impressions out of the box, feels really, really solid, but is definitely not as blue as the packaging or some of the shots would have you believe. That being said, it's a really funky colorway, and I knew from the moment I saw the solicitation that I wanted to have this figure, and I'm so glad that INS Hobby decided to send me one. Oh, yeah, I'm actually quite stoked on this guy. So let's take a look at these hands. So, it looks rather deep. I don't think it's a ball joint. Let's take a look. How easy does this come off? Okay, it is a ball joint. Interesting. And now how easy does it go on? Is this going to be a Ghidorah 2.0 where I'm going to need a hair dryer and some boiling water? The answer is probably. Let's just get this back on. I'll do the alternate hands some other time. Maybe when I pause the recording to switch shots. but I really, really like how this guy looks. I really, really like how this guy looks. That is not to say that there are not issues with it, specifically in terms of the marketing and the promo. Really, really dig how this looks. He just feels really fierce to me with this deco. I can really see how I can really see how Harold over at the Figure Mania shows having a field day photographing this guy. Like, the color just really pops, and if you get creative with the lighting, you can probably do some wacky stuff. Oh, very happy. Here is Energized Godzilla under some warmer lighting. Red lighting, green lighting, blue lighting, yellow lighting, purple lighting, lighter blue lighting, flickering lighting, and now I don't remember how to actually get it back to default. Oh god, what have I done? I don't know how much of that's going to make it into the final cut, but anyway, here we go. So yeah, here is Godzilla, and I really like the figure. I mean, there's not much to say. You kind of know exactly what you're getting into with this repaint. If you don't already own this mold, this is probably not the first one that you're going to pick up. Godzilla Re-Evolved, Pre-Evolved, whatever you want to call it, was just recently reissued, I believe. So, you know, definitely go pick that one up if you don't have this mold already. And if you have this mold already and you are looking for a wacky, ecstatic, electric paint deco, then here you go. Here he is. Now, I do want to touch on the tightness of the joints, as this will relate to the discussion around what's going on with these spikes. And the joints feel solid to me. Like, maybe the thighs are a little bit more fluid than I am used to, but everything else feels about normal for a Hiya Godzilla. I don't really feel anything that is particularly loose or stiff. Everything feels about right to me. Everything feels like it's moving how it should, which is great. That's great to hear. Like, you know, that should be the norm. Unfortunately, it's not the norm sometimes. Yeah, I really don't have anything to complain about. If this was a deco that spoke to you, I think that it's really nice. If this deco doesn't speak to you, if you didn't really care about the movie or the scene, then I think that you can comfortably skip this one, not really having any kind of remorse of any form. Now, I do want to get onto the topic of mold degradation. When this guy started landing in China, we started seeing photos comparing the spines on this figure with the spines of previous released Godzilla figures. Notably, the ones that I've seen are the original 2021 Godzilla figure, the very first one that Hiya did. That, to this day, remains my favorite Hiya Godzilla figure, but that's a topic for a different video. One thing that was noticeable was that the spines on this guy were duller or smaller than the spines on previous Hiya Godzilla figures. And to me, this is either a conscious decision to remold the spines, or we are seeing signs of mold degradation. Now, there's been all kinds of jokes talking about how much Hiya has gotten out of this mold and how many repaints that we've had, but I don't know if anybody actually expected to see mold degradation present in the figure, and that's why I was testing all the joints to see how they were feeling, because they don't feel loose to me. They don't feel like they're worn down. As molds start to degrade, you might lose tolerances, joints might start to feel loose, so that all feels good to me. It's just the spines. There's something about the spines that are just appear softer, duller, shorter than the previous Godzilla figures. So then the question becomes, did they actually decide to retool the spines? Did something happen where, you know, the previous ones were no longer viable or no longer available and they decided to make new ones? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what we're observing here, and the unfortunate reality is that we're never going to get a clear answer. If you ask me, nobody's going to make the conscious decision to make new spines that are smaller and duller and less exciting than the ones that came before it. So my money is, in fact, on mold degradation. In practice, does it make a huge difference? I don't think so. I don't think I would have ever noticed that if it was not pointed out to me. I'll throw some photos up on screen now from Harold. He compared the spines on this figure to that very first Godzilla. But as long as the figure is looking good, feeling good, then I don't really have any complaints in the joint tolerance or mold degradation topic. I do think that if this is in fact mold degradation that we're seeing, it speaks to why Hiya is able to get these at such an affordable price. Perhaps they are using molds that are not as strong as the steel molds that, let's say, a company like Playmates uses for their original vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle line. You know, the one that's being reissued right now that is using the exact same molds from 40 years ago. Yeah, they're probably not using the super strong, robust stuff. They're probably using something a little bit more affordable, which helps them get things out at affordable price points. But that is all in the event that this is in fact mold degradation that we're seeing here with the spines. Other than that, like I said, I would not have picked up on that. I think that this figure looks amazing, feels good, moves good. The inclusion of the extra accessories, which you do in fact need to boil or hair dry to get them to fit on. I have not done so yet. I think that any Godzilla figure is automatically made strictly better with the inclusion of fists or closed up hands, and so I'm very glad to see it here, and I'm looking forward to when it comes with the 91 Hokkaido suit. I managed to get the fists on without any heat or boiling water treatment. I don't recommend you do that. I'm just really stubborn like that. I really don't like having to treat my figures, and I guess I was perfectly willing to break the figure if I had to. That's a me problem. Please don't do that. As Godzilla's history has been full of wacky and really out there color schemes, I think that this is a figure that really does have a place in your collection if you're into that kind of thing. I don't think that this figure is absolutely necessary to have. I think that if you were looking at some of the solicitation images that showed it being blue rather than green, then you're going to be disappointed in this figure. But if you like how it looks in the camera that you see in this video, or maybe Harold's Photography, other creators as they're unboxing and reviewing these figures, if you like how it looks on camera, then I think you really can't go wrong. The mold is a winning mold the 9th time out, apparently, and the addition of the little fists make it really fun. I think that this figure is awesome. I'm so happy to have it in my collection. I was fully prepared to buy it on my own. INS Hobby was kind enough to send it out to me, so thank you again to them. If you are interested in this figure or any other Hiya Toys Godzilla figure, do check out my link in the description down below if you want to support the channel. I guess I'm curious to hear from you. Are you interested in picking this figure up? Are you sort of let down by how it turned out in comparison to those solicitation photos? Ooh, actually, here's a fun one for you. Do you think that this is the last time we will see this mold? Because we're kind of running out of ideas here. Like, what are we gonna see? Like Scylla decisive battle version where he's just covered in green goo. I think that this is the last time we'll see it, unless the future MonsterVerse movie returns to this shape of Godzilla. So yeah, do you think this is the last time we'll see this mold? Let me know in the description down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Bye bye.